All right, thank you guys. Let's take a look at some Mountain West Conference action. And we're going to start with Colorado State taking on Boise State. And that's going to be an 8 p.m. Eastern start time this Thursday. The Boise State Broncos are minus 13, total 61. We're 6-0 in our last 6 daily best plays on patreon.com/Brock page. And access to the daily best play costs just $1.99. We currently have over 675 members signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock page. And of course, when it comes to this Colorado State-Boise matchup here, the Rams of Colorado State are plus 250 for an upset win. Now, the Rams are coming fresh off a solid double-digit victory over Wyoming. This Colorado State offense is gaining 118 yards a game on the ground through 2 contests. Tight end Trey McBride has 13 catches for 220 yards and 3 touchdowns. Trey's averaging 17 yards a reception. Meanwhile, defensively, this Ram pass rush has double-digit sacks through just 2 games. 5 sacks a game they're averaging already in those couple of contests. They've also had 3 takeaways on the season as well. Defensive lineman Scott Patchen currently has 2.5 sacks, double-digit tackles on the season. Defensive back Marshawn Cameron also has a forced fumble and a pick 6 on the year as well. 19 total tackles and a sack for Cameron as well. And linebacker Daquan Jackson currently leads this club in tackles with 20 of them. He also has a sack and a fumble recovery on the season as well. They're taking on a Boise team who suffered a huge setback this past week, going up against national powerhouse contender BYU. They were humiliated 51-17 by the Cougs. Really just not overly competitive. When you play those great teams like that, you really kind of set the bar. It's a measuring stick, and they fell incredibly short. Now, this Boise State defense has just 1 takeaway thus far through 3 games. They've given up 81 total combined points in their last 2 ball games as well. And they're allowing well over 200 yards a game on the ground. Now, total-wise, Boise's gone 2-0 to the over at Albertson Stadium on the Smurf turf, 3-0 to the over for the season. Colorado State's coming fresh off a game with Wyoming that got over the line themselves. So we're going to start off the video here with an underdog. Give me the underdog Colorado State Rams plus 13, keeping this one close, and the over 61 in that contest. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines and personal leans out for College Football Week 11, and of course this is the Mountain West Conference edition here. But before we go ahead and dive into some more free content right here on YouTube, just have to quickly remind you once again that we're on a 6-game winning streak right now in our daily best play on patreon.com/Brock page. And once again, that's a perfect 6-0 in our last 6 daily best plays in that category. And access to the daily best play costs just $1.99. We currently have over 675 members signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/Brock page. And moving on, we're going to take a look at Fresno State squaring off against Utah State. And that's going to be a 2:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff this Saturday. The Fresno State Bulldogs are the 10-point favorite while traveling. Totals 55 and a hook. The Utah State Aggies are plus 280 for some money line cash. And of course, Utah State just fired their head coach, Gary Anderson, after their 34-9 loss to Nevada this past week. Now, the Aggies are winless on the year, 0-3 to start the season, and they haven't come anywhere near covering the number. The Aggies are averaging just 9 points a game, and they're throwing for just 101 yards a game as well. Those are like peewee numbers. The Aggies are amongst the worst teams in the nation in yards per play. And like I said peewees. I guess we're talking about Pop Warner. Those are like Pop Warner numbers there, not getting the job done. Now, Utah State's also scored just 4 total offensive touchdowns on the season, and their leading rusher on the team is averaging just 38 yards a game on the ground. Meanwhile, defensively, the Aggies still have yet to force a turnover, and they've given up 34 points or more in all three of their ball games this season. The Aggie defense is allowing almost 300 yards a game through the air, and they're giving up well over 200 yards a game on the ground. Their opponents are gaining almost 7 yards per play. Now, they are taking on a Fresno State squad who's currently on a 2-game winning streak themselves, really putting it together here over the past couple of weeks. They also went 2-0 against the spread in those couple of victories. They actually covered a 12-point spread against UNLV this past week, putting up 40 on the running Rebels. They also held the Colorado State Rams to just 17 total points in their victory before that. So like I just said, really doing a great job getting the W over the past couple of weeks. Now the Bulldogs are throwing for almost 300 yards a game, and they've already rushed for 447 total yards on the ground this season. They're gaining 149 yards a game on the ground, and of course, most of that is thanks to running back Ronnie Rivers. He's actually carried it 60 times for 307 yards and 6 scores. He's averaging 5.1 yards a carry and 2 rushing touchdowns a game. Meanwhile, in the passing game, wideout Carrick Wheatfall has 13 receptions for 225 yards. Wheatfall is averaging nearly 18 yards per reception. Now, total-wise, Fresno's lone road game on the season got over the posted number. Meanwhile, Utah State saw their lone home game get over the line themselves. They're officially 2-1 to the over for the season. So with all that in mind, give me Fresno State minus 10 and the over 55.5 in that contest. All right, let's see if our next game's up on the board here. It is Hawaii, San Diego State. That's a 4 p.m. Eastern start time, and I'm already past that. I don't think it's on the board here. But anyway, Hawaii, San Diego State, 4 p.m. Eastern start time. Now, the Aztecs of San Diego State are minus 11, totals 51 and a hook. And if you like the Rainbow Warriors to win it on the road, they're plus 350 for an outright victory. Now, Hawaii's coming off a 39-point effort over New Mexico. They're 2-1 straight up on the season, including a 15-point victory over Fresno State as well. The Warriors are rushing for they're rushing for exactly 180 yards a game, and they're averaging 2 touchdowns per contest on the ground. Now, running back Miles Reed's touched it 33 times for $190. Reed's averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. And when it comes to this Hawaii defense, they've got themselves 6 takeaways on the season already. They're holding their opponents to less than 225 yards a game passing. Defensive back Eugene Ford has a pair of interceptions from this secondary, 5 total tackles for Ford. Linebacker Darius Masal has 35 tackles on the year, along with 1.5 sacks. The Rainbow Warriors have won 7 out of their last 9 ball games, dating back to last season. They're taking on a San Diego State team who had a huge letdown game this past week against San Jose State. They lost 28-17 to the Spartans, a game where they were laying double-digit points. Now, quarterback Carson Baker's throwing for just 187 yards a game, and he's only thrown 3 touchdown passes. His favorite target, Jesse Matthews, has yet to catch one in the end zone. Matthews, he's gone without scoring a touchdown thus far in the early going here. Now, the Aztecs have also lost 6 out of their last 8 ball games played in the month of November. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Aztecs are 2-0 to the under at home. Meanwhile, Hawaii, on the other side, is 2-0 to the under when traveling. I'm going to lean toward another underdog in this one. Give me the underdog Hawaii Rainbow Warriors plus 11 and the under 51.5 in that ball game. Next matchup, we got that one queued up on the board here. Nevada squaring off against New Mexico, 6:30 p.m. Eastern start time. I think someone in the comments was correcting my pronunciation of Nevada. Is it Nevada? Nevada? I don't know. I've always called it Nevada. But anyway, Nevada's minus 16, total 62 flat. The Lobos of New Mexico are plus $5 for an upset win. The Lobos are also coming fresh off a loss to Hawaii this past week. 39 total points they gave up in that loss. They also fell to San Jose State the week before that by 17. This Lobo defense is giving up 39 points per contest, along with allowing over 400 yards a game through the air. New Mexico is giving up nearly 8 yards per play on defense as well. This will be the Lobos' first home game of 2020. Having said that, though, it's not great news because they failed to cover the number in 7 out of their last 8 on their home field, and of course, that dates back to last season. The Lobos also have a very impressive 16-game losing streak within the Mountain West Conference play. They're taking on a Nevada Wolfpack squad who blasted Utah State by the final of 34-9. And once again, that was the nail in Gary Anderson's coffin there. But anyway, this Nevada defense has given up just 14 points per contest in their last couple of games. They're also perfect 3-0 straight up on the season, 3-0 against the number. Quarterback Carson Strong's throwing for 397 yards a game and 9 touchdowns. No interceptions yet for Strong. His favorite target's been Romeo Doubs, who has 26 catches for a staggering 473 yards and 5 touchdowns. Doubs is averaging 158 yards a game receiving. He's truly a man amongst boys out there. Now, Nevada's also rushing for $115 a game. Running back Toa Taua has a pair of rushing touchdowns on the season, and he's averaging an impressive 8 yards per carry. Nevada's successfully covered the point spread in 6 out of their last 7 conference matchups. Now, total-wise, Nevada's last 2 straight contests fell under the posted number. Give me the Nevada Wolfpack minus 16 and the under 62 in that contest. All right, next and final matchup for the show, it is going to be the Runnin' Rebels of UNLV taking on San Jose State, 10:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. The Spartans of San Jose State are minus 15, totals 58 juice to the over. And if you like the Runnin' Rebels of Nevada, Las Vegas, they're plus 450 for some money line cash. Now, the Runnin' Rebels gave up 40 points to Fresno this past week in a 13-point loss. They also gave up 37 to the University of Nevada the week before that, and they also gave up 34 to San Diego State. So with that in mind, they're allowing nearly 40 points per contest. They're also giving up over 220 yards a game on the ground, and they have only 2 takeaways on defense. Meanwhile, offensively, it's been equally as bad for the Rebels. Just 17 points a game they're averaging, less than 165 yards a game passing. This Rebel O-line has given up 14 total sacks through 3 games. And they also scored just 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. The Rebels' leading receiver is also averaging a puny 37 yards a game receiving. The 0-3 Rebels have yet to cover a point spread this season. They've also lost their last 5 straight in San Jose, and they failed to cover the point spread in 8 out of their last 11 conference ball games. They're taking on a San Jose State team who's looking pretty good this year. They're giving up just 14 points per contest, and they're coming fresh off a huge upset victory over San Diego State, where they were actually catching double digits. They were the double-digit underdog. They also put up 38 on New Mexico the week before that. The Spartan squad is currently 3-0 straight up on the season, 3-0 ATS in those ball games. They're throwing for nearly 300 yards a game, while wideout Bailey Gaither currently has 338 total receiving yards on the year. Bailey's caught 21 balls for 2 scores and an average of nearly 17 yards per reception. Gaither's also averaging 113 yards receiving per game. And once again, the San Jose State defense has really put down the clamps on opposing offenses. Cade Hall has 2.5 sacks on the season, 8 total tackles, and a fumble recovery. Safety Trey Jenkins also has a pair of interceptions from this secondary, 20 total tackles, and a fumble recovery. And linebacker Kyle Harmon currently has 42 total tackles on the year, 1 PBU, and a forced fumble. Now, the Spartans have won 4 out of their last 5 conference matchups, of course, dating back to last season. And when it comes to the total in this one, San Jose State saw 2 out of their last 3 stay under the posted total. Meanwhile, UNLV saw 2 out of their last 3 stay under the line themselves. So not sure if the Rebels are going to be able to score enough points to put this one over. Plus, San Jose State really doing a good job keeping the opposition out of the end zone. So with all that in mind, kind of a quirky lean here, but I'm going to lean toward the San Jose State Spartans minus 15 and the under 58 in that matchup. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.